whispering door horror. A quiet cabin setting. A small, isolated cabin deep in the woods. The sky is overcast, and a faint drizzle taps on the windows. Action. Lena, a young woman in her late 20s, sits at a desk, writing in a journal. She looks exhausted and glances nervously at the clock. Sound. A faint, distant whispering, barely audible over the rain. Dialogue. Lena, writing. It's been 3 days since I found the door. 3 days since I started hearing them. Action. Lena abruptly closes the journal, her hands trembling. She stands and stares at a locked door at the end of the hallway. The first night. Flashback. Setting. Flashback to when Lena first arrived at the cabin. Action. Lena discovers an old padlocked door hidden behind a bookshelf. She pries it open, revealing a pitch-black void. Sound. A sudden rush of air, followed by faint whispers. Dialogue. Lena to herself. Just an old storage room. Right. Action. She closes the door, but the whispers continue faintly as she walks away. The growing unease. Setting. Back to the present. Nighttime. The whispers are louder now. Action. Lena paces the cabin, covering her ears, but the whispers are inside her head. Sound. The whispers grow clearer. Let us in. Lena, let us in. Dialogue. Lena, shouting. What do you want from me? Action. The door rattles violently. Lena grabs a hammer and nails it shut. The revelation setting. Midnight. Action. Lena finds old photographs in a drawer. They show previous occupants of the cabin, all staring blankly at the camera. Sound. The whispers intensify. Join us. Dialogue. Previous occupant. Voiceover from a journal. You can't escape the door. It wants you. It always does. Action. Lena drops the journal, trembling. The climax setting. The cabin, midnight. Action. The door bursts open. Darkness spills into the hallway like a living shadow. Sound. Distorted voices and the sound of heavy breathing. Dialogue. Lena. Stay away. You're not real. Action. She trips and falls. The shadows engulf her, and the screen fades to black. The ending setting. Morning. The cabin is peaceful and quiet again. Action. A new family moves into the cabin. They find the door padlocked again. Sound. The faint whispers begin anew. Let us in. Screen fades to black. Text on screen. Some doors are meant to stay closed. Let me know if you'd like any edits.
Within the door itself. She couldn't understand how it was possible, but the fear was real. She knew she had to find out what lay behind the whispering door. The whispers started subtly, fleeting murmurs that Lena initially dismissed as tricks of the wind or her imagination playing games. She would often pause, straining her ears, only to hear nothing but the rustling leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. It was easy to convince herself that it was all in her head, yet night after night the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They began to form words, phrases that she couldn't quite make out. Lena found herself lying awake, heart pounding as she tried to decipher the eerie messages carried by the wind. They seemed to seep from the very walls, wrapping around her like icy fingers. The old house, with its creaking floors and drafty windows, became a vessel for these ghostly voices. Every creak, every groan of the house seemed to carry a whisper, a plea, or a warning. Sleep became a distant memory. Lena's nights were filled with restless tossing and turning, her mind racing with the possibilities of what these voices could mean. She began to dread the setting sun, knowing that with the darkness came the whispers. Lena tossed and turned in her bed, haunted by the disembodied voices. She would wake up in a cold sweat, the whispers still echoing in her ears. The once comforting darkness of her bedroom now felt oppressive, filled with unseen eyes watching her every move.
What do you want from me? Lena would whisper into the darkness, her voice trembling. She hoped for an answer, a sign, anything that would make sense of the torment she was experiencing. But the only response was the continued murmur of the voices, growing ever more persistent.
They spoke of unspeakable horrors, of darkness and despair. The voices told tales of lost souls, of tragedies long forgotten, and of a darkness that sought to consume everything. Lena felt a chill run down her spine as she listened, unable to block out the haunting stories. Her fear morphed into an icy dread that clung to her like a shroud. She felt trapped, unable to escape the relentless whispers that filled her nights. The once familiar world around her now seemed alien and threatening, every shadow hiding a potential horror. Lena knew she had to find a way to silence the voices, but the path to peace seemed shrouded in darkness. Days blurred into an unsettling montage of shadows and whispers. Lena wandered through the cabin like a ghost, her reflection in the dusty mirror a stranger staring back. The whispering intensified, a constant torment that chipped away at her sanity.
I need to get out of here.
She tried to leave, to escape the suffocating confines of the cabin. But each time she reached for the doorknob, the whispers morphed into screams, a chorus of tormented souls holding her captive.
My grip on reality, it began to slip.
The whispers became her only companions, their chilling tales her sole reality.
I saw fleeting shadows in the corners of my eyes, felt icy breaths on my skin.
Her once rational mind crumbled under the relentless assault.
The locked door, it became a monstrous presence in my mind, pulsing with a sinister energy.
It beckoned her, promising answers to the torment that consumed her. One night, driven to the brink, Lena found herself standing before the door.
"Let me in," they pleaded, their voices a chorus of despair.
The whispers had reached a fever pitch, their urgency palpable. With trembling hands, she fumbled with the lock. It clicked open with a groan, revealing a pitch-black void. A cold gust of wind slammed against her, carrying the stench of decay and the chilling laughter of 1,000 voices. Terror, raw and consuming, seized Lena. She had ventured into the forest, hoping to find solace in its quiet embrace, but instead, she found herself ensnared by an overwhelming sense of dread. The trees, once familiar and comforting, now loomed like sinister sentinels, their branches clawing at the sky. She tried to step back, her heart pounding in her chest like a war drum. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the very ground beneath her feet was conspiring to keep her there. To flee from the abyss that yawned before her, a gaping maw of darkness that seemed to stretch on forever. The wind howled through the trees, carrying with it whispers of forgotten souls, but it was too late. Invisible hands reached out from the darkness, cold and unyielding, wrapping around her like a vice. She struggled, but the more she fought, the tighter their grip became, dragging her towards the threshold. Her screams were swallowed by the darkness, muffled, as if the very air had turned against her. She clawed at the ground, leaving deep gouges in the earth, but it was no use, as she disappeared into the void beyond the door. The cabin fell silent, its once welcoming facade now a harbinger of doom. The windows, dark and empty, seemed to watch her with a malevolent gaze, the whispers receding into a chilling quiet. The door slammed shut, echoing through the forest like a final ominous note. The once vibrant sounds of the night were replaced by an oppressive silence, leaving behind an eerie stillness. The forest, now devoid of life, seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for the next unfortunate soul to wander into its depths. The darkness, ever hungry, lay in wait, ready to consume all who dared to challenge it. Weeks later, a moving van rumbled up the overgrown driveway. A young couple, their faces bright with hope, unloaded boxes and furniture. The cabin, freshly painted, seemed to bask in the afternoon sun, its dark history seemingly forgotten.
"The kids are going to love the extra room," she chirped, her voice echoing through the empty hallway.
Her gaze fell upon the locked door at the end of the hall. Curiosity flickered in her eyes. That night, as the moon cast long, eerie shadows across the floor, a faint whisper escaped from beneath the locked door.
"Help me!" it breathed, its voice a ghostly echo of terror.
It slithered through the silent house, seeking, searching. The cycle had begun anew.